Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com. Today is July the 13th, 2017. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. I believe the casino is making a mistake. Right? Understand that Sullivan Barrera, in his last 9 fights, has had 8 of them end inside of the distance. The only fight that did not was his fight against unbeaten Andre Ward, which went 12 rounds. Now let's look at Joe Smith. Did you know Joe Smith, last 9 fights, only one of those fights went the distance, and that was against an underrated, very tough Will Rosinski. Both of these guys sport very big KO percentages. I'm expecting a knockout in the fight. But yet somehow, the casino is giving you right now a very high over-under. Right? The over-under is 9.5 rounds. And believe it or not, the side of that play, the under that I like, is a plus 115. Better than even money. No need to put a bow on the package, wrap it up. I'll take it. Let's go one step further. One of these guys is 35 years old. That's Sullivan Barrera. Right? He's been hit hard in some recent fights. Folks, he was on the canvas against Andre Ward. He was on the canvas against Shabransky. What I want people to do is to revisit the Paul pay-per-view Parker fight. I know he stops Parker, but folks, he's hit hard in that match. He takes some shots that I don't think he'll be able to take from Joe Smith and be able to continue on in the fight. So, all I'm saying is you're dealing with an older fighter, 35, who's been taking shots, who's been down in 2 of his last 3 fights. And he's fighting a 27-year-old with one of the best right hands in boxing. Right? Add in the fact that Barrera correctly points out that Joe Smith got hit with some flush right hands by Andres Fonfara in their short fight, was hurt before delivering the knockdown punches. Right? This would imply that Barrera, who has a 70% KO ratio, is not going to be bashful in the fight. He's going to be going for the KO. And to me, that's going to create opportunities for Smith. So to my surprise, the 27-year-old, the guy who beat Andres Fonfara and who knocked Bernard Hopkins out of the ring, right? Bernard Hopkins, keep in mind, is legitimately knocked out of the ring. There's no funny business there. You're getting Joe Smith at a plus 175 simply to win the fight, in a match where his opponent is telling us he's going to try to push the issue enough to test Joe Smith's chin. So look, let's be blunt here. The core of the bet is the plus 115 on the under 9.5. Right? That's the core part of the bet. But since you're getting a plus 175 on the underdog simply to win, I think you can add that hedge to the plus 115. So if either happens, you make a profit. Right? Think it through too. You don't have to bet equal amounts on both sides of the bet. You can bet more on the plus 115, and then you can bet about 80% on the plus 175. Folks, if Joe Smith, who has stopped 8 of his last 9 opponents, including a very hard to stop Bernard Hopkins, right? If Joe Smith wins this fight by KO inside of the first 9.5 rounds of this fight, the midway point of the 10th. You're winning on both sides of the play. You're getting a plus 115 on the under 9.5, and you're getting a plus 175 on Joe Smith simply to win. If Sullivan Barrera gets the stoppage inside of the first 9.5 rounds of this fight, you're getting a better than even money plus 115, minus what you put on Joe Smith to win. But understand the risk involved. If Sullivan Barrera wins a decision, right, and again, the only fight that went to decision out of Sullivan Barrera's last 9 fights was the Andre Ward fight. If Sullivan Barrera wins by decision, or if Sullivan Barrera wins by KO after the midway point of the 10th round, you lose it all. Right? Let's just talk about fight styles. Joe Smith is front foot heavy, but he has a left hand. He can actually shoot jabs with that left hand. He also tries to throw a very quick left counter. But make no mistake about it, he's a right-handed guy. His right hand's his fastball. Understand, his right hand is heavy, whether he's throwing a hook up top or whether he's hitting you in the body with it. His balance is such that everything from that right side is heavy, and his mindset is such that as Andres Fonfara in Chicago, Fonfara's adopted hometown, was in there with Smith hurt, throwing big punches, trying to take him out, Joe Smith did not try to run and hide. Joe Smith did not try to cover up. Joe Smith did not try to get on his back foot. No, he has a puncher's mentality, folks. What he decided to do was to trade punches. Right? I believe Joe Smith's puncher's mentality, and you know the way punchers think. They think to themselves, I only have to be right once in this fight. Right? In my opinion, Joe Smith's puncher's mentality, coupled with Barrera's firm belief that he's a knockout puncher who can up the ante, right? Further coupled with the fact that the one widely televised fight that Sullivan Barrera had was a snooze fest against Andre Ward, where he was too tentative in the match, uncharacteristically so. Right? Which, in my opinion, had the effect of dumbing down the public's belief in this guy's ability to stop opponents, even though he has a KO ratio of around 70%. To me, when you add all of that together, you have a fight where, in my opinion, someone is going to hit the canvas, right? And the casino is giving you such good odds that I like the under 9.5 rounds at a plus 115 hedged with Smith at plus 175 simply to win. Let's be clear on the hedge. If the hedge was Barrera plus 175 simply to win, at that price, I'd have to take Barrera as the hedge. Right? Don't sneeze at what the casino's giving you in an evenly matched fight. Right? I can't say I know who's going to win the fight, but I do think I know the pacing of the fight. Folks, this is not going to be a snooze fest. Those of you who equate Barrera with the, asleep boxer against Andre Ward are going to be in for a surprise. Punches are going to be thrown. Right? The ages of the fighters matter. Barrera at 35 realizes that it's now or never. He's going for it. He's not going to try to leave this in the hands of the judges. Right? Now, all of this said, let me have a personal word of caution to people. I was as convinced that the Manny Pacquiao-Jeff Horn fight was going to end inside of the distance, right? Came close in round 9, but that was about as close as it got. That fight went the distance. I lost it all on that fight. So just understand the risk involved. The risk is substantial, right? Here again, I'm looking at the styles of the fighters. I just don't see how this goes the distance. I'm going to be more cautious than I was betting the Manny Pacquiao-Jeff Horn fight. In that fight, I should have, hindsight's 100%, but I should have, given the long odds, I should have hedged it not with Jeff Horn by KO, but with Jeff Horn simply to win. This way, when the decision came down, in fact, before they announced the decision, I would have thought to myself, well, at least I still have a dog in the fight. Right here, while I suspect that if Joe Smith Jr. is going to win the fight, it'll be by KO, since the casino's giving me a plus 175, well north of even money, plus 100. Since it's giving me a plus 175, I might as well take it, since it keeps me in the game if this fight goes the distance and Smith has a chance at a decision. That's in addition to having Smith by KO, right? Because you have all options on Smith. If you have Smith simply to win at plus 175 as your hedge against the under 9.5 rounds at plus 115. In sum, I'm expecting a stoppage. I'm hedging the play with the underdog simply to win. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. Let me point this out too with Joe Smith. Right? People want you to believe that he's a Rocky type character, that he's the long shot. Right? Is he a long shot guy, or is this guy a bit of a ringer? Because look where he's fought. Right? He's already fought at Barclays in Brooklyn. He's already fought at the UIC Pavilion in Chicago. Folks, this fight's taking place at the Fabulous Forum in LA. Guess what? Joe Smith has already fought at the Fabulous Forum in Los Angeles. So this is the underdog. This isn't Rocky 1, folks. This is more like Rocky 2 or Rocky 3. Where Rocky has already tasted the big time. He's already fought in the big venue. He's already fought against the favored big-time opponent. Right? Didn't Andres Fonfara fight Adonis Stevenson? Isn't Bernard Hopkins simply some time period away from being elected to boxing's Hall of Fame? So don't buy the Rocky narrative too much. The guy's not Rocky. When the guy has fought multiple world-class fights in multiple world-class venues. Let me point out, too, Will Rosinski was 19-2 when they fought. And people from the Northeast know who Will Rosinski is. Right? Joe Smith beat him. So I know they're trying to sell this to you as Joe Smith is, you know, still has his day job and stuff like that. Yeah, that's right. But he's also fighting world-class opponents in world-class venues. I don't think Joe Smith is going to be overwhelmed by the moment. I'm expecting this fight to be a barn burner. I personally, even if Joe Smith wins by decision, I personally am expecting this fight to end by stoppage inside of the first 9.5 rounds. Even if I win with Joe Smith by decision, I'll be surprised that the fight went the distance. Anyway, that's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I like the under 9.5 rounds at plus 115. Better than even money odds. Hedged with Joe Smith simply to win at plus 175. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I wouldn't be surprised if Sullivan Barrera wins by KO in the first 9.5 rounds, right? Like sluggers with gamblers, hey, we only have to be right once, right? As long as one of the props you bet on hits, you're good. Anyway, that's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section to this video. Thanks for stopping by.